It's no secret reworks in League of Legends have become about as common as modern Marvel movies not being a complete waste of time. In a world where every new champion is released with incredibly polished animations, high detailed textures, and an expansive repertoire of voice lines,
Why does that armored guy smell like dragon?
it only calls to attention just how deserted half the roster has become, and unfortunately with the current roadmap, it's a situation that's unlikely to ever change. Riot is never gonna boost production on visual updates compared to just making new champions, because they are much more expensive to make, risk alienating their original player base, and never see as much immediate financial gain.
There is no profit.
Because, as we all know, visually updating champions for the modern era has never boosted their popularity in the long term, certainly never providing them with new opportunities to be using grandiose new ways and earn profit far beyond anything their pre-rework forms could have ever possibly imagined. That would be crazy. As players, we just have to kind of accept that the age of reworks is over. For the foreseeable future, we're getting only one, maybe two full VGUs a year, while ASUs suffer a similar fate and become hard luck to only the most popular champions with an already ludicrous number of skins. We have to accept that our beloved fossils will never see the joys of the modern era and are being left to rot forever.
But what if you could change all that?
Alrighty then.
And so begins the most ambitious and frankly expensive video I've ever produced, because I got to thinking one day, if Riot doesn't want to update these champions,
Fine. I'll do it myself.
And so our story begins with probably the worst kept secret ever. I decided to take a task upon myself to redesign one of League's oldest, most forgotten and confusing champions.
Next time, baby.
Cassiopeia. But why Cassiopeia, you may ask?
That is Snake.
Certainly there are other champions more deserving of the VGU treatment, much older and in more desperate need of that oh-so-prestigious model glow-up, and you would be correct, sir. But art is a science. And just like any great work of art, it was born from a place of pure spontaneous inspiration. And cocaine. At the time of this video's release, it will have been approaching a near full year since I started Casual Champion Review, a remarkably low-effort series of videos going through each champion in alphabetical order, discussing their lore, character design, and thematic fantasy while demonstrating my challenger-level gameplay expertise. Eventually, we arrived at Lady Cassiopeia, with the main topic of the video revolving around how she is a character caught between two entirely different ideas. She's described in lore as a manipulative schemer, a Black Rose operative who views others as nothing but pawns to further her own ends, a suave temptress well aware of her own beauty and using it to her advantage, only enforced by the plethora of voice lines referencing it so. Yet it is also stated that she was cursed and turned into a hideous abomination, one with a new form that utterly destroyed her previous life, leaving nothing but a slithering monster craving her lost humanity and fighting back her new beastly instincts. I don't know about you, but looking at this current character model and those two design ideas, yeah, I don't really get any of those from this God of War NPC. It's pretty apparent the temptress part of her character is what took priority though. A pretty looking face, curvy features with stylized and symmetrical garments. This design is clearly going for appeal, but I don't think it really commits to it. Going the Janna route of, oh, we gotta make the character sexy, I'd stick her in a bikini, it'll be fine. As for the monster side, I don't think in any conceivable universe this would convincingly pass for a snake monster who stuck their head a little too close to the pizza oven. The biggest issue with Cassiopeia as a character is that she's caught in the middle, advertised as a horrible snake monster with a tragic backstory, but at the same time was designed at a point in gaming history where dressing a female character in clothes in anything less revealing than Slave Leia was considered a cardinal sin. What if we fixed that? What if, hypothetically, Cass did get reworked? Not just giving her a new design, but removing the confusion of her storyline by honing in on just one of those two core character traits. To me, that sounded really exciting, especially because if I tried to do this, I'd have complete creative freedom. A Moo, Nocturne, or any other highly requested champions had already seen plenty of fantastical and popular fan-made redesigns over the years. Some of them so amazing it wound up landing these artists jobs at Riot. It would be near impossible to compete with that. I mean, I tried anyway because, you know, I'm stupid. But with Cass, as far as I could tell, it hadn't really been attempted yet. As an amateur artist, it was my time to shine. All on my own, I could create a Cassiopeia embodying what she was supposed to be to her fullest extent, and so naturally, I turned her into full-on fan service. Wait! I haven't been possessed Okay, I made a monster version as well. In fact, it was the first version I drew. Here's my initial sketch of Monster Cassiopeia, focused more on the idea that the curse burned away all her humanity. With almost no human features left, I thought it would make her horrible transformation more believable for someone said to have lost everything because of it. Admittedly though, it is a very first draft design. While it incorporated many kinds of snake attributes and nods to Naganeka, the snake ascended, which likely inspired the stone construct and cursed cast in the first place. I mean, even in LOR, her darkened weapon card is tied to Noxus. I highly doubt that's a coincidence. I just don't think I succeeded in making her truly monstrous. I think it's my fascination with dinosaurs and reptiles that held me back. Didn't really make it truly monstrous, which funnily enough, a really awesome version of this exact concept surfaced a little bit after I posted my version, and it's just so fantastically creepy. A wonderful blend of snake and human attributes to create something truly terrifying.
I saw this.
While I had created a basic monster cast, I drew monsters all the time. I've been doing it since I was a little kid. Even if I didn't accomplish my exact goal on my first draft, drawing a monster Cassiopeia was very easy for me. What would be less easy was taking the other route, disregarding the tragic side of her story and leaning more into her character she is presented as, not just in design, but in personality. A champion proud to display their striking good looks and using them as leverage over others is the central core of their fantasy. Unapologetic fan service on purpose. Oh hey, that's the name of the video. Considering my current standing in life and reputation on this platform, it would prove to be a challenging experience. By now, most of you are well aware I'm not overly fond of the quote-unquote sexy champions, but that's not entirely true. Silas, Kaisa, Yone. These are champions I've talked about a lot on this channel. Ones that were designed with eye candy at the forefront of their character design, even though it completely clashes with who they're supposed to be as characters. Silas has been a prisoner since childhood, chained up and sustained on nothing but the rats crawling throughout his cell. What would that kind of character look like? Obviously, the clothing and physique of a male stripper. Body types, just like any other aspect of character design, is a tool. This is all to say, there is a place for the hourglass figure and biceps on biceps body types. In League, champions like Evelyn are a pinnacle example. It makes sense to give her a curvaceous form since her whole character is about luring in her prey through sexual charm. On the other hand, making a character sexy doesn't necessarily mean they have to be sexualized. Samira, despite being a bounty hunter, wears makeup, jewelry, and dresses less than practical, but it's because she's a show-off. She knows she's gonna do her job well and is gonna look great doing it. All that being said, how does this logic apply to my redesign of Cassiopeia? Well, again, I'm an amateur artist, an ace demon, and a better rendition will pop up later in the video to truly explain my idea, but TLDR, I want to lean further into the temptress side of her character, one that proudly and even vainly displays her dashing good looks for all to see. But going this direction does clash with something, her current lore. So to make this work story-wise, we had to rewrite it a little bit. Most of it's still the same though. She's still a Noxian noble residing in the colonized Shuriman city of Uzeris. She's still the lesser of the Dukuto siblings, being raised primarily by her mother. She still got indoctrinated into the Black Rose at a very young age, trained to be a manipulative schemer and use other people to further her own goals. She still raided several Shuriman tombs with Sivir and ultimately attempted to raid the Tomb of the Forgotten and obtain the power of the Ascended, literally backstabbing Sivir and releasing Xerath and Renekton by accident.
I will be free.
But then, at this moment in time, after her transformation is when we diverged quite drastically. Because I got to thinking, how many times have we seen in fiction an evil villain journeying to acquire some magical or godly power, only to be stopped by the hero or discover the power is far beyond their control, resulting in their deformation, if not flat out demise? What I propose is a somewhat contemporary idea, because sometimes bad people aren't punished for doing bad things. What if the villain of the story lied and schemed and murdered all the way to get this incredible power and succeeded? The bad guy wins. Is not an entirely new idea, but it's one that I think fits this new version of Cass.
I have to break your neck.
Who's to say the power of Naganeka wasn't what she was after in the first place? That by it being held within Xerath's eternal prison, he had absorbed much of it, leaving a fragment for Cassiopeia to take for herself, becoming not quite to the same level as some of the most powerful beings on Runeterra, but one that would certainly have Noxus and its Shuriman territories under her thumb. This is a Cassiopeia that was only amplified by her curse, using her newfound powers to spread her influence, making her one of the new top dogs of the Black Black Rose Order. I like to imagine this is a Cassiopeia who fully accepted her new form. In fact, she loves it. Because let's be honest, the idea that Noxians would be scared of a half-snake person is laughable. Noxus doesn't care who you are, where you come from, or even what species you are. If you are strong enough, you are welcome in Noxus. And Cass is certainly strong. While she had influence before, now it's only been magnified. A manipulative schemer, vain and greedy with the utmost confidence in her position to rule over other people to the benefit of herself. And yes, she still shares similar interests with the Black Rose and isn't looking to be the new head lord of Noxus or anything, but as the easily youngest of the main 4 Black Rose champions we have, she isn't interested in the long term. While LeBlanc sees wealth as a distraction, it is a symbol of power to Cass. While Vlad hides in secrecy, Cass relishes in her popularity even outside of the Order. While Elise is loyal to her god, Cass is loyal only to herself. Cause to me, how would a young, impulsive, manipulative, backstabbing politician born into a wealthy, high-status family she resents wield this grand power in any other way than selfishly?
She was very selfish.
She's well aware of her beauty and the fact that people want her, but she uses that aspect of her appearance solely as leverage, swaying her victims to her side through sheer temptation.
Hold up. Wait a minute.
Yeah, if it wasn't clear enough already, a lot of inspiration for this new Cassiopeia's personality is lifted directly from her Spirit Blossom skin. I mean, hey, pretty much all the other Wave 1 Spirit Blossom skins are direct reflections of the Runeterran selves. Why not add this one to the list? So, I had an idea for what I wanted this new Cassiopeia to be, but there's one big problem.
I call it bold and brash.
More like belongs in the trash.
Sorry, I must have missed that one.
My artistic ability is limited, to say the least. I could fully bring it to life like I had hoped. Thankfully, this is the part of the video where it gets extra spicy, and probably the part you've been waiting for this whole time. Because what if I commissioned an actual artist to bring this version of Cassiopeia to life?
It's time for the moment you've been waiting for. Duh.
I know, not the biggest reveal for anyone who's seen a single community or Twitter post from me in the last 4 months, but here it is. Thanks to Eri Violet and their immaculate ability to recreate League of Legends' concept art style and inputting their own design ideas, this version of Cassiopeia has finally been fully realized. So you might have some questions. What changed from my first rendition of this design, and what changed from the original Cassiopeia? Because I realized I never actually explained that.
I'm stupid.
Well, it's pretty obvious to tell right from the start, this version of Cass is committing to the bit base Cass only dipped her toes into. Tail into. Turning her metal boob plating into loose-fitting cloth and long flowing streamers. I don't actually know what these things are called, please enlighten me.
I'm stupid.
This was done to give her outfit a bit more of an elegant appearance, the soft clothing allowing her body the flexibility it needs to slither around whichever way she pleases. She still has the hourglass body type much like before, arguably even more so, but that's intentional this time, along with the shape of her clothing made to accentuate those proportions. This version of Cass, much like Samira, is well aware of how attractive she is and uses it to her full advantage. She was always a cunning manipulator who used her beauty to sway the weak-willed even before her transformation, but now she has the power to elevate that tenfold. I like to think this version of Cass steers more in the direction of paralysis and hypnosis. If she's unable to dissuade her pawns through her natural charm, she could induce her victims into a trance, unable to resist her demands, giving her immense power over others, albeit not in a raw physical strength kind of way. Next up, her face. It's no secret League women haven't been known to have the most distinguishing facial structures, and my cartoonish art style doesn't exactly alleviate that problem.
What are you? Some kind of silly cartoon?
So with Eri Violet's help, this version of Cass aimed to give her a more unique appearance, with a much sharper jawline and nose, in some ways a more exaggerated version of Katarina. Color scheme was important too. Even if she has lived in Shurima for most of her life, Cass is still a Noxian champion, and much like Samira, again, she should have design elements from both regions. Current Cass is pretty much entirely Shuriman, with her armor being comprised of nothing but greens and golds, and the only Noxian element at all is how she mentions it in a couple voice lines. The redesign aimed to fix that, keeping the bright golds of Shurima while incorporating just a smidge of Noxian colors with the white and red fabrics. She still leans more heavily into Shurima since that's where she got her powers and where she lives most of the time, but she has that Noxian element to tie her back to her homeland. Her headdress as well has been altered substantially, turning it into a full-on crown. Much like LeBlanc, at least the LOR version, it mimics aspects of the Noxian insignia. I like to think much like the braids of Freljordian demigods or shoulder pauldrons on Ionian blade masters, these elaborate head decorations will be a staple to the head honchos of the the Black Rose. And without the headdress, her hair was finally freed, revealing a similar hairstyle to that of, this one. This is why I could never be an actual character designer, dude. I don't know the names of anything.
I'm stupid.
Now, I know what you're thinking. She could have been a redhead, considering both her sister and her father are. But as far as we know, her mother Serena's hair color is still a mystery. Since Katarina has closer ties to Marcus and Cass to Serena, would it not be thematically appropriate for each half of the family to share a similar hair color? There's also the little bits of green at the ends, and mainly this was done just because it visually looks cool. But it could be argued as symbology for the venom running throughout her body. I don't know. There's been worse explanations for design choices. For body color scheme, you may notice she's a lot more tan than you might remember. And while yes, she isn't technically Shuriman, she has lived there for the majority of her life. It would be strange if her skin color wasn't a little bit darker after all that time roasting in the desert. Her scale patterning was changed as well. There's some on her face, arms, and running down her back, while the color scheme of the snake half's underside is the same as her human skin. This was mainly an attempt to merge the two halves of her together into one cohesive whole, instead of the original where it looks like a snake tail was duct taped to a pharaoh cosplayer. And lastly, a bit of decoration. Some bracers, necklace, earrings, makeup, all to make her look dressed in her Sunday best. She has no need for bulky armor or battle gear. She's not a soldier. She knows she's beautiful. Everyone else knows she's beautiful. She uses that to her full advantage by putting it on full display for everyone to admire. All this together, Cassiopeia is inherently designed to be fan service with a purpose. Oh, hey, that's the title of the video again. And does it work? Well, I mean, I'm obviously speaking from a biased standpoint here, but I thought we did a pretty decent job. This is all to say I'm totally fine if you don't like the design, and I'm not upset if any people don't like it. While I have my opinions on what I think makes a good character design, the truth is stuff like this is ultimately subjective. This redesign is not objectively better than the original, it's just what I think is better. We good? We good. I was so happy with what Air Violet had produced, and proud of my own ace brain for being able to concoct something I wouldn't normally touch within a 10-foot radius. It's clear many of you fellas liked it a lot too. In the lead up to this video, from the sketches to the YouTube short to the additional artwork, the sheer amount of support and fan art has been overwhelming, to say the least. Seriously, there's just been so much fan art. I absolutely love it, fellas. Thank you so much. As for downsides, I'm pretty sure plenty of people would have rather I'd gone for the more monstrous version of Cass, and fair enough, it's something I'd like to tackle again in the future. And of course, making a character this blatantly fan servicey has it has its own risks.
Back, you dirty ape! Back!
All in all, I think we made a pretty decent redesign of everyone's not-so-favorite Snake Lady. One that a lot of people seem to enjoy quite a lot, and what more could I ask for than that? Well...
Your job's not done yet, Nicholas. It's clear plenty of people already like your redesign. So much so you even gaslit some people into forgetting the original even exists. So what if, and hear me out, we went even further beyond?
Alrighty then.
It's not exactly a new idea to redesign some of League's oldest champions. Plenty of other content creators have done it numerous times in the past. But I got to thinking, would it be possible to not just redesign the champion, but modify them in almost every single avenue to the point it feels like they might pass for an official ASU? What if, huh? What if we did that? Yeah, we actually did it. We got an icon in the same style as the newly made portrait icons from last year, an emote replicating the only one base Cass has. For a while we had a paint over splash until eventually we got an entirely brand new one that better suits this version of Cass's personality. Her smug energy, it mocks me so. And of course, a fully functional custom skin, free to use for all who use custom skins. At least, you know, until Vanguard comes in and wipes the entire concept from existence. But hey, you know what? It was fun while it lasted. And speaking of, if you've seen any of my more recent streams at twitch.tv/NickyBoy, you probably would have seen not only are there special Cass redesign emotes, not only will you have seen that we've played with this custom skin several times, but that we also managed to get all the way to Mastery 7 on Cassiopeia only using the custom skin. In pretty much every single aspect, this version of Cass has basically become a full ASU. But there is one thing missing. isn't there? Usually one of the biggest draws of these visual updates isn't just the visual part, it's audio too, fully fleshing out who the champion is personality-wise and giving proper interactions with more champions beyond just one. So what if I told you fellas I had just one last surprise in store for you all?
Beauty is the greatest curse of all. Oh, it's nothing personal, dear. I dispose of tools that have exhausted their use. You are unworthy, Sivir. I am not so foolish as to waste a gift of the gods. Sivir, back to die so soon? You really should thank me, Sivir. We both unlocked our full potential that day. Sister, what a pleasant surprise. Let me demonstrate why Mother favored me. Katarina, just who I wanted to see. I was about to celebrate becoming an only child. You always were my least favorite sibling. Talon, you are the spitting image of father. Spineless and pitiful. I'd hate for our relationship to get complicated. Wealth a distraction. I did not think the deceiver so deluded. I have no need for masks, LeBlanc. Everyone knows me, and everyone loves me. You remind me of myself, Lady Elise. A pathetic, inferior version of myself, but still. Your god's power binds you, Spider. I am not so restrained. You've talked to ascended beings, stolen their power for your own. Tell me more.
Ah, yes, Cassiopeia. I admire your commitment to metaphor.
Oh, Grand General, I wish I had a compliment to offer in return. I'm not the only snake here, Jericho. Annie, sweetie, you're late for class again. I'm starting to think LeBlanc finds amusement in her own failure. Kneel? Why, yes, you may. All this carnage, Renekton. There are much less messy ways to topple an empire. Your people's power looks stunning on me, doesn't it? She could do better. Hush now, sweet thing. It will all be over soon. Yes, dear. You may bask in my beauty. Oh, you precious thing. Let me help you. Gaze into my eyes. Let those bad feelings just melt away. Do you like what you see? Would you like to see it up close? Violence solves everything. Weak, just like father. The Black Rose was in need of new leadership. I'll be sure to personally inform your chief assassin of your swift demise. You have wasted your gift. A snake, am I? Perhaps you like to see just how snake-like I can be. Friends are unnecessary, but you will make a fine pawn. I saw this. I have no need for masks, LeBlanc. Everyone knows me. Oh,
And there you have it. Altogether, we kind of made an ASU all on our own. Absolute kudos to the artists who helped bring this to life. They are all absolutely amazing. We're a joy to work with, and I trust you fellas will show them the appreciation they deserve. So now, at the end of the road, I thank you fellas for joining me on this journey. I hope you enjoyed our Cassiopeia ASU, and hey, if you did, consider subscribing since we're so close to the 200,000 mark. Or if you really want to see more videos like these, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. Paying all these artists was pricey to say the least. There is no world where this video ever makes back even a quarter of what it cost to produce, but it was a passion project. And a few dollars from you fellas every month goes a long way to helping fund these kinds of projects. Oh my god, can I stop shilling now? I really should take a sponsor at some point. But that's the end. What do you think of our fan-made Cassiopeia ASU? Was it convincing enough? Do you fellas like the design? Perhaps you have some constructive criticism for what we could have done differently. Be sure to let me know down in the comments below. And hell, while you're at it, let me know what kinds of champions you would like to see me make a video similar to this about next. I'm particularly fond of my cho'gath and Soraka redesign, so perhaps if my wallet doesn't die from cardiac arrest, we tackle them or any other highly requested champions in the future. Till next time though, thank you so much for watching, being with me on this journey through this massive project, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.